today we are going to discuss the heart. Whatever the introduction of the heart is, you have to mention the heart word that is derived from the Greek and Latin words. So you have to mention according to the Greek word, you are going to get the Greek and Latin word that is cardiac and coronary. So in the introduction of the heart, you have to explain the heart is a hollow muscular organ. As you know, the cardiac muscles are specially made up of making the heart. So you are going to explain the definition of the heart it is a hollow muscular organ situated in the middle mediastinum. So it is one of the major content of the middle mediastinum. Then holding the anatomical position of the heart, you have to hold like this way in the anatomical position. As you are going to get the 2/3 will be lying on the left side and 1/3 on the right side behind the body of the sternum and costal cartilages. So in the introduction of the heart is a hollow muscular organ situated in the middle mediastinum, and it is covered by the pericardium. Covering of the heart is called as pericardium, and in this hollow muscular organ is made up of the muscles, special type of muscles known as that is a cardiac muscles. And these cardiac muscles are special because they are not classified under the skeletal and smooth muscle. They are separately made up of the cardiac, that is making the heart, because their contractivity and conducting the impulses, that special type of muscles are found in the heart. Those we call as cardiac muscles. Next, as you see the total heart in this way, holding anatomical positions little obliquely, 1/3 we are going to get the 2/3 will be on the left side, and we are going to get the 1/3 will be we are going to get in the right side. So in anteriorly we are going to get the sternum, which is and costal cartilages. Behind that obliquely it is lying in the middle mediastinum. So this is all about the introduction of the heart. Then going to the what are the measurements? Your total measurements, you are going to get the 12 into 9 centimeters. Major length will be the 12 centimeter, 9 centimeter width. Even your breadth also you are going to get the 6 to 4 centimeters, that you have to remember. Then weight of the heart will be the 300 grams in male and 250 grams in the females. Going to the external features of the heart, when you go to the heart is having the 4 chambers. So in this you have to mention the 4 chambers of the heart, which are we are going to get the 2 atrium and 2 ventricle. Here you have to mention the first one. This is almost all the right atrium, right ventricle, and this is the left ventricle, and we have the left atrium. So you have the 2 chambers, atrium, right atrium, then we have the left atrium, then we have the right ventricle, and this is the left ventricle. So left ventricle you have to mention this is the left ventricle, this is the right ventricle area, this is the right atrium, and posterior most chamber is we are going to have the left atrium. So these are the 4 chambers which we are going to get in the heart. So external features of the heart, when you see the external features, as it is a conical in shape, it is having we have the apex. This is the apex which is directed downwards and towards the left side, and this is formed by that is the left ventricle. Apex of the heart is formed by the left ventricle, that is directed downwards towards the left at the 5th intercostal space and 9 centimeter from the sternal line. So you are going to get 5th intercostal space, 9 centimeter distance from the sternum, and made up of the left ventricle, that is we call as an apex of the heart. The next external feature is a base. Going to the posterior aspect, when you go to the posterior side of the heart, you are going to get this is a base of the heart. Base is not this one. This is a diaphragmatic surface. Inferiorly there, other organs we have the base, but here heart diaphragmatic surface is not called as that is a base. Base is on posteriorly. It is resting on here, and base is formed by the left atrium. Apex is formed by the left ventricle, base is formed by the, we are going to get the, that is the left atrium forming the base of the heart. So here 4 pulmonary veins opening, superior inferior pulmonary vein, and this will be the left atrium chamber, posterior aspect, and we are going to call as a base of the heart. So we have in the external features, we have come across the apex of the heart and the base of the heart. Next, going to the other external features in the heart, we are going to get the 4 borders of the heart. We have the 4 borders in this superior border, and this is the inferior border, this is the right border, and this is the left border. So we have the left border, inferior border, right border, and here we call it the superior border of the heart. So surfaces, 3 surfaces, we call as the anterior surface or the sternocostal surface. And we are going to get the inferior or diaphragmatic surface, and this is the left surface. So left surface, inferior or diaphragmatic surface, or the anterior or sternocostal surface. This anterior or sternocostal surface is formed by the right atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle. So these chambers of the heart will form the anterior or sternocostal surface of the heart. Going to the left side, left surface is almost all formed by the, we are going to get the, including the, that is a totally left ventricle. That is the left ventricle forms the left border. Inferior border almost all forms the, it is by the left ventricle, and we get the right ventricle. So right ventricle area is this much, and this left ventricle area is this much. So that right ventricle, left ventricle, and forming the inferior border of the heart. Then right border of the heart is formed by the right atrium. So you are going to get the right atrium forming the right border, and upper border which is forms the right atrium, and we have the origin of the pulmonary trunk and aorta, and you have the part of the ventricle. So that upper border or superior border, inferior border, we have the right border, and this is the left border, 4 borders of the heart. Then I have told the surfaces, sternocostal, 3 surfaces, sternocostal or anterior surface, sternocostal because behind the body of the sternum, and costal cartilage. Lying that we call as a sternocostal surface. Then left surface, I have told left ventricle. So we have come across in the external features of the heart. Heart is formed by the, that is having the apex, we are going to get at the left ventricle apex, and the base on the posteriorly, which is we get as a, this base which is formed by the left atrium. Next, going to the borders, upper border, lower border, right border, left border. Surfaces, sternocostal, diaphragmatic or inferior, left surfaces. So these are the 3 surfaces, 4 borders. Then we have the apex and base. These are the external features of the heart. Going to the each one atrium, it is consist of the one small projection like growth like structure on the right atrium. This we call as a right auricle. This is a right auricle, and on the left we have the left auricle. This is a left auricle and right auricle. So right auricle, what is the function of the auricle? Auricles are different, atriums are different, and ventricles are different. These are the auricles are the appendages or the projections like on the situated on the atriums. Right atrium, right auricle, left atrium, left auricle. So when you see the functions of the auricle is, this will interrupt the free flow of blood. Means interior of the auricle, it consists of the, that is we have the sponge-like structure, rough surfaces. When blood flow through that, the small clots are dissolved, so that they interrupt the free flow of blood. What is the function of auricle means? You have to tell. The auricles are prevent the free flow of blood because interiorly they are consisting the muscular pectinity that making the rough surface, and the blood when passes with this rough surface, the small clots are dissolved. So that functions of auricle, this is a right auricle, this is a left auricle. Function is that is they prevent the free flow of blood, so that small clots can be dissolved. Then on the anteriorly we have the atriums and ventricles are separated by the atrioventricular sulcus. The atrium, right ventricle, they are separated by the atrioventricular sulcus. Right ventricle, left ventricle separated by the, that is the interventricular sulcus. So interventricular sulcus, atrioventricular sulcus, we are going to get the, again interventricular here we are going to get, then on the atrioventricular, interatrial sulcus. Two atrium, right atrium and left atrium separated interatrial sulcus we are going to have, and we have the left ventricle and the right ventricle that is we are going to get the interventricular sulcus. Interventricular sulcus, we have the interatrial sulcus posteriorly, then we have the atrioventricular sulcus, atrium to the ventricular sulcus. These are the we are going to get. So we have the coronary artery traveling in the particular area of the heart. Right coronary artery and left coronary artery travels in the particular groove. Right atrioventricular groove, we are going to get the right branch of, that is the right coronary artery. We are going to get the branches of the left coronary artery on the interventricular sulcus. So these are the, you have to remember the grooves on the surface of the heart are the interatrial sulcus in between the two atria, right and left. Then interventricular sulcus we have, that is in between the right and left ventricle. Then in atrioventricular sulcus is separating the atrium to the ventricle. So this is all you have to remember in the sulcuses of the heart. And even I have told the projections, auricles of the heart. Next, going to the each chamber when you go, that is when you are going to see, this is the one which is arch of aorta. You are going to get the ascending aorta, arch of aorta and descending aorta. This is what you are, when you see the heart in the position, this ascending aorta arising from the left ventricle. Left ventricle arises, that is aorta. Aorta forming the ascending aorta, arch of aorta, descending aorta. Then this arch of aorta giving the three branches. These three branches are very important to know. Right brachiocephalic, left common carotid and left subclavian artery. So here heart is that is the arch of the aorta is giving the three branches. We have the right brachiocephalic, left common carotid and left subclavian artery. So these are the three branches which are very important to remember in the, that is a blood supply to the head, neck, face, brain. So that these arteries are very important branches of the arch of aorta. And ascending aorta giving the two branches, that is the right coronary artery and left coronary artery. So right coronary artery, which is the right side or right part of the heart is supplied. Left coronary artery in generally left part of the heart is supplied. So right and left coronary artery are the branches of the ascending aorta. So we have the ascending aorta gives two branches, right coronary and left coronary artery. Arch of aorta giving three branches, right brachiocephalic, left common carotid, left subclavian artery. So these are the branches. This is a pulmonary trunk which is arising from the, we get the right ventricle, and this pulmonary trunk which is divides into a right and left pulmonary arteries. So we have the right and left pulmonary artery going the deoxygenated blood to the lung, and oxygenated blood is brought to the pulmonary veins, which is our openings into the, that is oxygenated blood from the lung opens and brought to the left atrium. So this is a, you have to remember in the all the parts and branches of the arising vessels of the heart. That is, I have told the pulmonary trunk, right and left pulmonary trunk, pulmonary artery. This is aorta, ascending aorta, arch of aorta, descending aorta. Then I have told the, here you have the, this is a superior vena cava going into the right atrium. You can opens into the right atrium, here coming superior vena cava, and this is the opening of the inferior vena cava. So you have the inferior vena cava, superior vena cava. Then I have told the aorta, and this is the pulmonary trunk, and these are the four pulmonary veins opening into the left atrium. So these are the external features and all the, you have to remember about the remembering about the heart. So going to the one chamber when we discuss The heart is made up of the all four chamber. In that first chamber, you have to remember that is a right atrium. Right atrium is very important as per the short notes. Commonly important chamber we are going to get. This is a right atrium. This you can see right ventricle, left ventricle, and we have posteriorly left atrium. When you see the right atrium is a right uppermost chamber of the heart. So right uppermost of the chamber of the heart, which is elongated and which receives the blood from the upper part of the body, that is a deoxygenated blood brought by the superior vena cava. This is what we are going to have the superior vena cava. When you open into the openings, you are going to get this superior vena cava opening into the right atrium. Then that is upper half of the deoxygenated blood brought by the superior vena cava, and lower half of the body, inferior vena cava, which is brings the deoxygenated blood to the right atrium. So this is the one which is the external features you have to remember in the right atrium. Right atrium is the right upper chamber of the heart. It is the elongated chamber which receives the superior vena cava superiorly, inferior vena cava inferiorly. Almost all the body deoxygenated blood is brought to the right atrium. Then when you see the right atrium, which is separating from the atrioventricular sulcus with the right ventricle, and we have on the superiorly we have the right auricle. So right auricle, opening of the superior inferior vena cava, then elongated chamber, and opening between the superior and inferior vena cava. There is this is superior vena cava and this is inferior vena cava, and there is a ridge groove between the opening of the superior inferior vena cava. This we call as a sulcus terminalis. This is we call as a sulcus terminalis. So one thing you have to remember, groove between the superior inferior vena cava on the outer surface, exterior or external part of the right atrium is called as a sulcus terminalis. When you open the right atrium cut section, then you can open interior of the right atrium. You are going to see the right atrium interior. It can be divided into the different parts. One which is we call as a posterior smooth part we are going to get. Then we call as a anterior, we have the anterior rough part. So we are going to get anterior rough part, and here we have the posterior smooth part, and between the two chambers of the atrium, this part we call as a septal region or septal wall. This is we call interstitial part. When you see this interstitial part with the septal one, which is you can see here, you can remember this is a septal, which is you can see this area which is coming here area. This is a septal part. So three divisions we are going to divide the part. One is first one I have told the anterior rough part, posterior smooth part, and we are going to call as a septal region or the septal or interstitial part. So anterior rough part, when you open this is anteriorly, which is we call as a thick ridge like, which is comb like appearance we call as a musculae pectinati. Whatever you are going to see this a comb like structure inside, you are going to get these are the musculae pectinati. Okay, we are going to get the here arising from the thick band of muscle, which is we are going to get the crista terminalis. This is known as a crista terminalis inside, and outside we are going to call as a sulcus terminalis. So this is sulcus terminalis and this is a crista terminalis. Crista terminalis gives the comb like structure or appearance we call as these are the musculae pectinati. So rough part of anterior or the anterior rough part of the right atrium consists of the crista terminalis and muscular pectinati. So I have told this is an auricle. This is auricle. Interior of auricle is a rough. You can see this is a divided into a rough. So consisting muscular pectinati and rough part, and that will prevent the free flow of blood, which is dissolves that is a small clots. So that is you have to remember. Then going to the posterior smooth part. On the posterior most smooth part, it is consists the you are going to get the opening of the superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. Openings you are going to get, and small openings in this we call as a venae cardi minimi. Small veins opening here, venae cardi minimi, and even the superior vena cava, inferior. This is the inferior vena cava arising, and here we are going to come across this is a superior vena cava. So superior vena cava also opening here posteriorly, superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, and we are also have here the coronary sinus. We are going to have small opening here, that is a coronary sinus. So superior, inferior vena cava and coronary sinus, and small openings of the right atrium, venae cardi minimi, that is a posterior smooth part. Going to the septal part, when that is a separation partition between the atrium. When you see both the atrium, you are going to see here only. So whatever this septal part, which is consists here in we are going to get the fossa ovalis depression, which is we are going to call as a fossa ovalis, and around that margin we call annular ovalis. So we are going to call as a fossa ovalis, annular ovalis. So venae cardi minimi on the upper part. So you have to totally remember the heart in the right chamber, anterior up part. On the superiorly you have to remember the groove between the superior and inferior vena cava, sulcus terminalis. Then interior sulcus terminalis, which is forming we are going to get the crista terminalis. On the crista terminalis we have the ridge-like structure, comb-like structure, musculae pectinati. Then you have to remember opening of superior vena cava, opening of inferior vena cava, then venae cardi minimi. Septal wall, you have to remember the fossa ovalis, we call depressed part fossa ovalis, annulus ovalis. We are going to call annulus ovalis or fossa ovalis. We have the venous blood of the heart also brought to the right atrium only. That is we call as that is the coronary sinus. So you have the coronary sinus in this area, coronary sinus, that is the blood from the venous blood from the right atrium or total heart, it is brought to the right atrium, that is we call it the coronary sinus. So these are the very important blood which is collected from superior inferior vena cava brought to the right atrium contract, it pumps to the right atrioventricular orifices, we call as this is a tricuspid wall. From the tricuspid wall it opens into here is we call as a right ventricle. So you have the blood superior inferior, this is the tricuspid wall, and you are going to have comes blood into the right ventricle. From the right ventricle, this is the blood going to the pulmonary trunk. This is you have to remember about the pulmonary trunk. Here pulmonary trunk going to the right and left pulmonary artery to the lung, that is a pulmonary trunk. Then from the left ventricle, this is the left ventricle opening, you have the arising from the aorta to the here, mention the totally enters into the left ventricle. So this is the opening of the left ventricle. So here you can see this is the aortic opening. Here you can see this is the aortic opening or in the left ventricle. So you have to remember aortic opening of the left ventricle. When left ventricle contracts, blood comes into the aorta to that is it is going to the almost all the part of the body. But whatever the oxygenated blood is brought from the lung to the left atrium by the superior inferior pulmonary veins. So when left atrium contracts, it pumps blood to the left ventricle. Left ventricle contracts, it pumps the blood into the aorta. So you have to remember this is the opening which is the right atrioventricular orifices or the tricuspid wall or atrioventricular orifices. When blood from the right atrium goes to the right ventricle, then right ventricle pumps the blood to the pulmonary trunk. This is a pulmonary trunk to the lungs. From the lungs, the blood is brought to the superior inferior pulmonary vein to the left atrium. From the left atrium, it enters into the left ventricle by the bicuspid wall. So from the bicuspid wall, it is reaches to the left ventricle. From the left ventricle, when contract, it pumps into the aortic orifices and arises to the, that is the aorta. So this is a circulation of blood. It is a general circulation of blood or the systemic circulation of blood we are going to get in the heart. So other circulation like coronary circulation, pulmonary circulation, and we have the general circulation of the heart. So with this we have studied the introduction of the heart. As you have to see the heart completely on the external aspect, how the chambers of the heart identification with the groove, atrioventricular sulcuses are present, interventricular sulcus, right atrium area this much, right ventricle, left ventricle, and we are going to get the left atrium. So these are the things, chambers you have to remember. So I have told the introduction of the heart, what is the weight of the heart, 300 grams in male, and it is about 250 grams in female, and 12 into 9 centimeter measurement. External features I have told apex, and posteriorly it is a base. Then it is having the 4 borders, superior, inferior, right border and left border. In that we have studied the 3 surfaces, sternocostal or anterior surface, diaphragmatic or inferior surface, or the left surface. So 3 surfaces, 4 border, apex and base. That is I have told. Then I have told the atrioventricular sulcus, interventricular sulcus, then atrioventricular sulcus. That is you have to remember. Then I have told the detailed study of the internal structure and external structures of the right atrium. So in detail we have studied all the internal structure of the right atrium and external points relating to the right atrium. Right upper chamber, that is we have discussed. Internally we divide into anterior rough, internal smooth, and septal part or interstitial part. So most important part you have to remember in this is the sulcus terminalis, opening groove between the superior and inferior vena cava, then crista terminalis, muscular pectinity, then small opening vena cava minimi, and we are going to have the fossa ovalis, annulus ovalis, fossa ovalis, then coronary sinus, that is you are going to get it. So what are the openings of the right atrium you can remember? Superior vena cava, inferior vena cava, then vena cava minimi, small vein, and coronary sinus. Also there is a middle cardiac and all small veins open. Vena cava minimi and coronary sinus, then superior, inferior vena cava. These are the opening of the right atrium. So detailed study of the right atrium we have done, introduction, external feature, then we have come across the internal structure of the right atrium, openings of the right atrium. So this is and also main you have to remember auricles and should not be confused with the atrium. Auricles are different. Auricles are the small projection growth like structure on the atrium, and that is the right auricle we are going to get in the right atrium. Left auricle we are going to situate it on the near the left atrium. So what is the function of auricle I have told? That is they prevent the free flow of blood because it is the interior of this is a rough which is made up of the muscular pectinity. So that you are going to get as a, that is the functions of auricle you have to tell. It prevents the free flow of blood. So this is all about the introduction and description of the right atrium.